Welcome to the Big Biz Show. Taking care of business. You want fast-talking, hard-hitting discussions on business and finance? Maybe with a barroom slant and some really salty peanuts? We're not counting calories. We're counting cash. Before we get to the man with the financial plan, meet the money team. Costa, Mary, now Captain Finance himself, Sully.
Wherever you're watching, wherever you're listening, we welcome you to the Big Biz Show inside the Loft 100 studios here in Southern California. And as we like to always say around these here parts,
howdy to you.
And a special,
now I'm in it.
and a
I'm a
special big old howdy to you to the brave men and women of the United States Armed Forces who guarded our wall, are still continue to do it here on this Veterans Day. We love you.
I just have to say to you that as I'm looking at this market here, which I thought was closed today, I thought Veterans Day had a closed market, but I guess it doesn't. I was just thinking, do you equate a cowboy hat when you say big old howdy to you?
I think in Spurs, yeah. Chaps, maybe, certainly.
Whoa.
Am I allowed to say that?
No, you are not.
No, here's the problem with Mike Costa. He said it so many times he can't say the word chaps without saying what's in front of it because it just doesn't even work anymore.
Right.
It's like
That's not even a thing.
It's like chillax, the super lame freaking.
1,000%. I can't say without.
Exactly.
I just got to go. Chaps.
Here with his eyes continually rolling 24/7 is Howie Font, our lead analyst from New York
How does
City.
he handle us? I don't know.
He's
Far away.
We love him.
He gets
Sorry,
to
Howie.
dip out.
Hey,
I love how you double down, Sully. Mike says it, and then you just go, well,
I want to as long as he gets to see it, he cracked the door open. I think Mary even said it too. Come on.
Unintended.
Drive a truck through it.
Hey, Warren Buffett, the Oracle of Omaha, who we are one degree of separation from because of our my very close friend and bass player James East. Brother Nathan East plays at a Warren Buffett party every year in Omaha, and is it
Jimmy Buffett.
Oh, Jimmy Buffett. Wrong one. Missed it by that much.
It's actually the Golden Corral buffet.
Can you tell me
how many degrees of separation could there be between Warren and Jimmy anyway?
Yeah,
I'm
sure they're probably not. They know each other.
Yeah.
Or did know each other. Let me ask you this: how much per share right now can you look up as Berkshire Hathaway? 200,000, 300,000?
Yeah, it's
per because he's never done a split. He's never done anything to. It's just. It's literally like 350,000 a share.
One share of
Berkshire
A stock, the original shares, is $744,601.87.
And he owns a bunch of shares.
Are they still available?
Yeah, he just donated 19,000. That's part of this announcement.
19,000 shares. He's taken. He's grown an average of 19% every year. Am I reading that correctly?
Since 1965, it's quite the record.
Wow.
Compounding growth. Yeah.
That's 3.7 million %. Out of 100%.
Yeah, I mean this chart is a really good explainer. I mean, if you put $1,000 in the market, the S&P.
S&P is the red, by the way, and Warren.
S&P is the red, yeah, and blue is Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway. This only goes to 2017, by the way. The divergence grows.
I think he still drives a Chevy Vega and still lives in his 2-bedroom house. He gets very, very, very not frugal. He just doesn't put value on those types of things.
The only thing he does, he says, is the Berkshire Hathaway private jet used to be the first one.
He does spend some money in the air. That's true, because his time's more valuable than his money.
Where did he donate the money?
It used to be named the Indefensible.
So he transferred a bunch of money. His family has several foundations that help several. I mean, you can pick a category. There's one for almost everything. And his philanthropy is almost as famous really as the Gates philanthropy, but it's just not as public, which I always found really interesting. And I'm not suggesting Gates and his ex-wife Melinda are beating their chests over it, but there was you never see a ribbon cutting with Warren Buffett there. He just rather write a check and go back to his next thing. The first thing on many people's minds here when you say that is, okay, I'm going to start just doing everything that Warren Buffett does. How can someone emulate that sort of return without having $700,000 to buy a share of one of his stocks?
Oh, you don't. Well, you don't do it the same way he did. Then that time has passed. So I think, he talked a lot more about values and principles and things, and that's how you're going to do it. I mean, if you do what Warren Buffett did, you have to start very, very small and grow at a very fast rate, which means you're really good at identifying moves in companies that are just really dislocated. And he did it before there was Bloomberg, before anything was digital. I mean, he would read literally hundreds of the actual filings, and they would have them shipped. He would have annual reports mailed to his house. So
keep in mind, and if you really want to think like Warren Buffett, like I'll talk about later today, we have Nick Liuzza on here. I'm going to talk about his balance sheet. And the bottom line is he only gets in companies that have low debt and they have good earning potential. But sometimes, more importantly, cash flow is more important to your mother. He likes revenue more than earnings sometimes. Now, revenue is what comes in the top of the bathtub. Earnings are what's left after you plug the holes at the bottom of the bathtub. But also debt-free. So debt-free, lots of money coming in. Earnings can't be ridiculously low, but anybody can do that if you take a look at the filings and just do a little bit of research on the company.
Yeah, I mean, doing what he did, he is called the Oracle for a good reason. I mean, he did it exceptionally well, and he kind of did it better than a lot of people. It took several decades for others to come and kind of copy him. Now that is still what you have to do if you want to be a good long-term investor. It's just much harder with much more competition.
When he said in his letter to the shareholders recently that he's going quiet, does that mean he's going to retire, or does that mean he's just doesn't do a lot of letters to shareholders?
Yeah, no. So no more letter to shareholders. He's going to continue doing his annual Thanksgiving letter. He's stepping down at the end of the year as CEO, and Greg Abel is going to his number two.
And for people who don't understand, Greg Abel was his right arm, the king's hand, so to speak, for many years, and he is what many people think as adept at investing as Warren Buffett has, because basically he's watched everything the Oracle of Omaha has done for how many years? 35 years or something like that. It's amazing.
Yeah, and he's kind of given the old dog new tricks. I mean, he's presented things to Warren. Warren has done this in annual meetings that he just wouldn't consider. I mean, there's a big deal over the Activision Blizzard to gaming companies. They were doing a merger, and Greg Abel had that position. That was a big deal for Berkshire News, and not in terms of size, but the fact that they were investing in something like that. I think he had something to do with the Apple position, which is just ginormous. I mean, they own a couple percentage points of Apple. They sold a lot off, but they made a ton of money on that. And technology is, notoriously not Warren Buffett's sector. I mean, he buys Fruit of the Loom and trains and energy companies. Like, he's very down to earth. He doesn't do the Mag 7 or anything like that.
Here's what's crazy. The U.S. has about $1.2 trillion in cash equivalents. That's how much money is in the bank. Okay, he's got cash equivalents of what, 380 million, something like that.
He owns more.
That's about 3%. That's about 3% of the total cash. I mean, seriously, he has so much cash. It represents 3.1% of all the cash the U.S. has.
Oh my God.
Think about that.
How old is he?
Now,
95.
and he's married. So get that out of your head there, lady. Hey, Warren, hi. Big ol' howdy to you. It's married.
Karen wants your wife to drink this.
Thanks, buddy. All right. Drink this.
I'm sorry. All right, keep it there. Much more to come with this craziness on the Big Biz Show.
Loft 100 Studios, the Big Biz Show, and our affiliates and our hosts are not registered investment advisors or broker-dealers.
Our show hosts make no commitment that the purchase of securities of companies profiled or otherwise mentioned in our programming
are suitable or advisable for any person, or that an investment in such securities will be profitable in general.
Given the nature of the company's profile and the lack of an active trading market for the securities, investing is highly speculative and carries a certain high degree of risk.
We profile selected publicly traded and privately held companies on our program.
Most of these companies that we profile have provided compensation to Loft 100 Studios and its hosts for the profile coverage.
From time to time, we sell shares of the companies profiled in the open market that we receive as compensation for coverage of client companies.
But never sell stocks if we are speaking about interviewing or covering up public company who has paid compensation.
Specific questions on compensation can be obtained by contacting producer at sullyandgroup.com.
Listeners should verify all claims and do their own due diligence before investing in any securities mentioned on this program.
Investing in securities is speculative and carries a high degree of risk.
We encourage our investors to invest carefully and read the investor information available at the websites on the
Securities and Exchange Commission at sec.gov and or the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority, FINRA, at www.finra.org.
I like it.
Hey, is that a rescue plane?
Big Biz Show continues live from the Loft 100 studios here in sunny Southern California. Hope you guys are having a great day. We certainly are. That is the Day Trader Trio. Back here at the bar, of course, it is Costa, it is Mary, and it is Sully.
Talk about our next guest.
Jason Tardio is the president and chief operating officer of Immunic Therapeutics. Their ticker symbol, IMUX, and we are so glad to have him back.
Every time I use the word MS, I get a bunch of email. My mom's got MS, and one of my daughters has MS. And every time we talk about MS, you look at, we have 80 million TV homes, we're in 175 countries, and all the ships at sea and on several networks. And I got to tell you, this is one of those diseases that people are not afraid to talk about it because they want to know, what the next. My mom has one form of MS. My daughter has another form of MS. My mom takes oral medication. My daughter does infusions twice a year, and my daughter has just a regular. She got it young enough to have a regular life. But you guys are really changing the face, of the sort of the biggest leaps and gains on a disease that's been around for a while. Talk about what you guys do.
So at Immunic Therapeutics, we develop innovative small molecule therapies to address unmet needs within chronic inflammatory and autoimmune related diseases. And our most advanced asset is a medicine called vidofludimus calcium that's currently in phase 3 development for relapsing forms of multiple sclerosis. And earlier this year, we reported results with that same asset in a phase 2 study in progressive forms of multiple sclerosis. So that's our lead product, and we're quite excited about what we have.
Yeah, if you walk us through how the therapy works with a certain patient, because it's criteria specific to a certain type of MS, or is it all MS overreaching, or could it be?
We're trying to address the full spectrum of multiple sclerosis. So multiple sclerosis, there's a couple different subtypes of multiple sclerosis. You have relapsing forms of MS, which accounts for about 75% of all diagnosed cases of the disease. And then you have two subtypes of progressive forms of multiple sclerosis. The first of which is called secondary progressive multiple sclerosis. That accounts for about 15% of the diagnosed population. And then lastly, but certainly not least, is primary progressive multiple sclerosis, and that accounts for about 10% of the MS diagnosed population. And MS is a disease of both neuroinflammation and neurodegeneration. And so ideally you want a medicine that's a potent anti-inflammatory medicine to address the neuroinflammation, but you also need a medicine that's neuroprotective in nature to address the neurodegenerative component of the disease. And there's 20 or so medicines available today. All of them address the inflammatory aspect of the disease, but there's really no medicine today truly acting as a real neuroprotective medicine. And vidofludimus calcium will do just that. It is an inhibitor of an enzyme called DHODH, which is a known, proven mechanistic approach to address inflammation. And it's the first and only medicine in development that activates a target called NER1, which we know will provide neuroprotective benefits. So our hope with vidofludimus is that it will be a tablet taken once a day that can address the full spectrum of the disease.
That is quality of life changing. I mean, really, obviously not just treating a disease, but when your quality of life to the point where you're not sitting and doing infusions for 6 hours at a time, you're able to pill in your pocket therapy, so to speak. That is as important, don't you think, Jason?
Without a doubt. I mean, remember, multiple sclerosis is a chronic disease. And so individuals diagnosed with this disease need to take medicine for the remainder of their life. And adherence and compliance to medicines is a concern. And patients just like the convenience of being able to take a tablet once a day at home. And so we hope to offer a very unique and innovative approach for individuals living with the disease.
Jason Tardio, President and COO, Immunic Therapeutics. Their ticker symbol is IMUX.
Hey, Jason, you mentioned relapsing MS. It sounded like that was the highest percentage of people that are afflicted with MS. Now, is that exactly what it sounds like, where you have flare-ups and then maybe it's under control and then it comes back again and maybe worse, and so you're constantly trying to monitor it? And could your therapy, vitaflutamist calcium, did I say that right?
Very good.
You would take it whether you're a relapse or not, and just kind of steady keeping it in check.
Correct. So relapsing forms of the multiple sclerosis is exactly how you described it. Individuals have inflammatory disease, and this is hallmarked by these constant flare-ups that the patients experience. And when they have these flare-ups, there's a number of different symptoms that they can experience: upper or lower limb weakness, bowel or bladder dysfunction, cognitive dysfunction. And ultimately, when they have relapses, sometimes patients fully recover, but most times they do not. And over time, you get this accumulation of disability that's called relapse-associated worsening. And so what we strive to do with vitaflutamist calcium is to prevent the relapses, to prevent new lesions that you can see on MRI, and ultimately to prevent disability accumulation. Now, on the progressive side, it's a little bit different. Patients with progressive multiple sclerosis don't have these flare-ups. In the secondary progressive forms, they have advanced in their disease, in which they're no longer having relapses, and they purely just have cognitive and physical decline. And in primary progressive multiple sclerosis, these patients were never diagnosed with relapses. They were just diagnosed with a form of the disease in which there's this constant slippery slope of disability accumulation.
Hey, Jason, we're up against the clock here, but I want to have you on again next week, and I'll tell you why. Because what you're doing is differentiating your drug in this MS market from anybody else. And I think if you look at the arc of the story with the FDA and everything else, you guys are further along towards commercialization than almost anyone. I want to spend some time talking about that. In the meantime, what's it look like for you guys for the next, what do we got, 6 weeks left in the year or something like that? Is it still beating the drum, or what are you looking forward to most here for the next for the rest of this year and the next 6 months?
Well, this was a very, very successful year for the company. We fully enrolled our phase 3 program in relapsing MS, the ENSURE trials, and we expect readout from those trials in about 1 year, Q4 of 2026. We also reported positive phase 2 data in CALIBR study in progressive MS. So it's been a very exciting year, and we look forward to reading out additional data next year to hopefully help patients and individuals living with multiple sclerosis.
Good stuff. He is Jason Tardio, the President and Chief Operating Officer of Immunic Therapeutics.
And he's coming back next week because we got more to talk about.
Yeah.
You made the invite public. It's out over the air. He has to come back. Ticker symbol is IMUX. Big Biz Show continues. We're in Southern California inside the Loft 100 studio. Always joined by the greatest in the business, the Day Trader Trio. As always, a shout out to our brave men and women of the United States Armed Forces for what they do, what they've done for us. Of course, back here at the bar, it is Costa, it's Mary Godwin, and it is Sully.
Big Biz Show is brought to you by Prudential. Let Prudential be your rock for retirement. Also brought to you by Bayer Advance, better science, better results. Starbucks coffee, of course, Bloomin' Brands and their fine family of restaurants. Did I see a bag of Funyuns over there?
You sure did. James East brought these to me.
He's the guy. All the stuff he brings here. Taylor Guitars, of course. Thank you, folks. Appreciate that.
Does everybody wipe the dust on their pants? What's the
Funyun dust or Dorito
or whatever,
dust?
chips, whatever.
Cheeto dust?
What do you do with the dust?
You don't waste it on your pants.
Hello.
Finger looking good, Kentucky Fried Chicken. Come on.
That's why God gave you 10 of them.
You realize that James East brings to the studio?
He's the
donuts.
Yeah, he's a
jelly-filled roll. I mean,
he's happy with the donut
he is. First of all, he's a vegan or vegetarian. I can't remember. Pescatarian, is that what it is? Vegetarian. Yeah. And he's a biohacker. He rarely eats sugar.
Yep.
And yet, and the reason is
he's a pusher.
He doesn't want to live longer. He just wants to live longer than anybody else. So
he wants to keep his friends happy.
He's slowly killing us. Well,
oh my God.
Ardes Johnson's here.
Ardes Johnson is the CEO of NeoVolta. Their ticker symbol is NeoVolta. LOV, long-term battery storage, energy storage is this man's game.
Let me tell you how popular Ardes Johnson is. I got calls from other networks wanting to have him come on the air.
Can you say no?
Yeah, he's not going to say no. I'm not going to let him say no because I love the fact that these guys are getting some attention. Ardes, what's up, man? Good to see you.
Hey, good to see you guys. All that talk of food makes me think how I'm missing lunch today. So
yeah, for us. Sorry, and plus we're running late too, so the guy does a little jab for you.
Starving.
Hey, I want to talk about storage in terms of alternate energy, specifically solar, because the big rub forever was that you guys could create energy, but what if the sun isn't out? What are you going to do with all that excess energy? And for a while there, you could put it back on the grid, so to speak, and get a check back from the electric. But you guys have got a bigger solution than that, and we're seeing more adoption of it. Why do you think that's the case?
Yeah, well, I would say that we're living in one of the most transformative times in modern history. We have a massive growth of energy consumption. Our grid is aging. The demand continues to rise, and resiliency is really becoming a key piece of it. So batteries and energy storage themselves are more like the glue that puts all energy on the table. Renewables for sure, it's a big piece of it and how we can continue to make it more normal of an energy consumption source. But the reality is we need energy storage for other reasons besides renewables.
Ardes, when you think about when the first computers came out, they filled giant rooms. You know, I think of the Whopper in war games. That giant computer, and now look, they're tiny. It's a watch.
Yeah, exactly.
As the technology grows, are you seeing the storage, the physical storage unit, the capacity shrink?
Yeah, absolutely. And quite frankly, we're on the very beginning stages of the evolution of energy storage. If you think about it in terms of people would understand in terms of watches or cell phones. The capability that we have today for a cell phone is to power you throughout the day. We have the ability to power a cell phone for weeks. It just becomes a cost conversation that we have to have. And what's driving that cost down is the development and use of energy storage and other applications besides EVs, besides even small power electronics. Energy storage is really becoming a key part of all the mindset of utilities and energy generators.
Well, Ardes, isn't AI and I've heard that every time I use ChatGPT, the energy that's going into that is exponentially different. And so is all of our usage of AI and all this moving towards AI making it even more of a need for what you're doing?
Yeah, exactly. Because what you're talking about is more and more desire and need of consumption of energy.
Yeah.
And no matter what we put on the grid today, no matter what the source of energy that we create, you still have to get it from the generation source to the consumption point. And that's really where the problem lies, is transforming and moving that energy across power lines to the end user. We don't have enough time to catch up. And no doubt the money is going to be exponential. But even if we had the money, we don't really have the time to catch up with the demand that people are putting on the grid today.
What's interesting here is the fact that you're having this success, and it was a crowded space several years ago. Why do you think you guys are having so much success now? Because if you follow the news, I mean, even today, press release came out talking about your revenue of $7 million. It is 1,000% increase year over year. You guys are killing it. What do you attribute that to, other than my show?
Well, you guys are definitely helping us out there, get the word out. But the truth of the matter is, it's the ability for us to go out and educate the masses, right? Just being able to tell our story, talk about what we do, offer a differentiated product, which is what we do. Have a portfolio suite of growing products, not only for the residential, but also for the consumer, commercial and industrial segment. And ultimately, we'll be even growing into the utility segment. So the truth of the matter is it's not that we just are out there in the market space competing with a rising tide. We're actually capturing market share because we have differentiated product and a differentiated message to the consumer.
What's interesting here is that you didn't hear the word Rust Belt in this country until we saw economic policy over the last 12 years. We used to have manufacturing here, and it's a big deal. And part of it was because we were the highest taxed industrial nation in the world at 39%, and then we went down to 21%, and that helped repatriate some money. But you guys are bringing manufacturing back to the U.S. That's a big piece of this. Talk about that.
Yeah, so we currently do manufacturing assembly in San Diego, California, and our goal is to very much expand upon that. And a lot of the policies that have been put, the legislation that is out there, are allowing us to take advantage of that opportunity. And it doesn't, another thing that we need to talk about is really our relationship today with China. If you look about my industry with energy storage, 85 to 90% of all materials come out of China. And this administration and the previous administrations, to be honest, have had a willingness and a desire for us to decouple our dependence on China for that. And so we're taking advantage of that opportunity. We're looking at places to add scope of manufacturing and, been looking at factory locations and some other things too to see just how we jump in. And we don't want to jump in small. We're going to jump in really big because I think taking a big swing right now is the best time historically ever to do that in terms of energy storage.
Artists, in order to decouple the best, do we need a lot more deregulation in this country?
Yeah, I would say that the biggest crippling part of our industry today is not just regulation, but regulation in the sense of having regulation.
Regulation for regulation's sake.
Right, for regulation's sake. So I think that we need to make a concerted effort in not only at the federal level, but also at the state and local level to enable technologies to be deployed onto the grid and the market. And there's been a general historical fear when it comes to batteries and things such as fire hazards. But today's standards and today's policies really make us put in very safe products. Our products go through rigorous testing. They essentially take our product. We have some new products that are coming out right now that are getting tested, and they're essentially in a warehouse being set on fire today. And they have to pass certain standards once they've done that. And our products can do that. They're very strenuous in what they can withstand.
Wow. Hey, next time you're on with us, we got to talk about the sunset provisions or the sundown clauses on all the tax benefits that happened with the consumers last time, which are resolving. Ardes, thanks, buddy. Can't wait to talk to you again next week.
Ardes Johnson, CEO, NeoVolta, ticker symbol NEOV. All right, keep it right here. Much more to come with the Big Biz Show. Do not go anywhere. Loft 100 Studios, the Big Biz Show, and our affiliates and our hosts are not registered investment advisors or broker-dealers.
Our show hosts make no commitment that the purchase of securities of companies profiled or otherwise mentioned in our programming
are suitable or advisable for any person, or that an investment in such securities will be profitable in general.
Given the nature of the company's profile and the lack of an active trading market for the securities, investing is highly speculative and carries a certain high degree of risk.
We profile selected publicly traded and privately held companies on our program.
Most of these companies that we profile have provided compensation to Loft 100 Studios and its hosts for the profile coverage.
From time to time, we sell shares of the companies profiled in the open market that we receive as compensation for coverage of client companies.
But never sell stocks if we are speaking about interviewing or covering a public company who has paid compensation.
Specific questions on compensation can be obtained by contacting producer at sullyandgroup.com.
Listeners should verify all claims and do their own due diligence before investing in any securities mentioned on this program.
Investing in securities is speculative and carries a high degree of risk.
We encourage our investors to invest carefully and read the investor information available at the websites on the
Securities and Exchange Commission at sec.gov and or the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority, FINRA, at www.finra.org.
I like it.
Hey, is that a rescue plane?
We are inside the Loft 100 Studios here in sunny Southern California. That is the Day Trader Trio as the Big Biz Show rolls on. Of course, back here at the bar, Costa, it's Maribert Godwin, and it is Sully. Only 6 weeks left in 2025. Oh my God.
Wait, that's not real.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah. We are 18 days away from Thanksgiving. God. I like that. Hey, I have a question for the band, Brian and James and Sojourn. Trey Sojourn Hart. Have you guys noticed with us in our band that AI has crept? I haven't seen any AI with respect to how it's affecting the music business at all. Or, I mean, because you look at, I walk up and show up the last minute and get to sing and play and leave. But I mean, is AI entering our world at all? Are we seeing it? Yeah.
Not in the live.
See?
Yeah, not for
Shouldn't
us.
there be?
Not live.
Shouldn't it? I mean, I think
Big Biz Show rolls on. We're inside the Lofter 100 studios here in Southern California. Wherever you're watching, wherever you're listening, we always appreciate you being along for the ride. Of course, that is the Day Trader Quattro, DTC as they're known on the dark web. Best in the business. Back here at the bar, it's Costa, Maribor, Godwin. Nunya business rolls on. Before we go further, shout out not only to the DTC for what they do for us every single show, but behind me and in front of me are people that you never see who are absolutely the spine and the cornerstones of this show, starting with our executive producer, Jared Coleman, and everybody else here. There they are. Look at them. There they are. Yeah. Usually they're smoking cigarettes and eating donuts, but today they're actually working, which is nice. But in all seriousness, we do not have anything as far as the show is concerned without everybody who every single day comes in. And
what about our camera crew right here?
Exactly.
They're pretty important too.
No, that's right, everybody. And we're
turn the camera around on yourself?
So lucky to have them here with us. I cannot wait to talk with John Vandermosten. He's the Senior Life Sciences and Analyst with Zacks Small Cap Research and Unboxing Biotech. And we always get him on, talk about what's going on in the tech world. And
some cool stuff right now.
Some super cool stuff. John, always great to see you. How you doing? All right.
Talking about the fun stuff I was reading about today.
Well, let's just jump in with the dire wolf. Because okay, when you think about it, we're gonna get Jurassic Park, aren't we?
I know. That's the first thing I was thinking, actually, when I was looking at this.
Explain, for the people at home that don't know, explain what's going on with the dire wolf.
Yeah, so there's this company called Colossal Biosciences, and they're actually here in Dallas, which is pretty interesting. And they have been working on a number of extinct species, trying to bring them back. So what they do, kind of like we saw in Jurassic Park, is they find DNA, and then they extract the useful parts of it, and then fill in the other parts that don't exist with the closest living relative of that animal, and then create that animal. And they did that with the dire wolf. And I think probably most of us who watched the Game of Thrones, remember the presence of those guys on there. So they're actually living in reality now with us. There are 3 of them, I think.
Where are they? They're in Dallas?
The town of Dyer. I have no idea where they are.
Well, they did not disclose where they are, but I think they said that they were somewhere in the northern area. I mean, I think wolves like colder weather, so. But yes, they're somewhere in the United States, I think.
Yeah, they're not.
Pretty cool. And the other thing is, they're actually working on woolly mammoths, and I don't know about T-Rex, but that's what I'm hoping for next.
Well, let's extrapolate it out a little bit. So you take the dire wolf DNA, and I'm sure they take the DNA from its closest wolf cousin or something to fill in the sequence.
Nice.
Okay. As we know what happened in Jurassic Park, they used the frog DNA, and then the dinosaurs change sex, and as Jeff Goldblum, famously says, nature always finds a way, breaks down the barriers and comes through. Do you look at this, John, and think to yourself, boy, man, they are treading in an area where I don't know if the text and the life sciences can handle what could possibly come out of this?
They need an island or something, orbiting the Earth so that it can't get to us. But it's funny because there's probably a lot of applications outside of bringing back extinct animals where this could work, or be helpful. So I think it's exciting not just because of what they've done, but some of the other potentials. But if you go on their website, you can see some of the other things they're working on. And again, it's a company called Colossal Biosciences, and they have a few locations throughout the U.S., but I believe their headquarters is here in Dallas.
John Vandermosten, Senior Life Science Analyst, Zacks Small Cap Research and Unboxing Biotech. John, as you look at Colossal, is this helping their bottom line? Is this something that maybe investors are looking at and saying, hey, whoa, maybe throw a couple shillings at it?
Well, I think it's a private company. I wasn't able to find anything public on them. And, they have a pretty impressive board of directors. So, they're probably going to incubate for a while. And when they can get something that can generate some money, they'll probably go public. But the applications, as I said, the applications are pretty broad in what you can do with this. And showing that it works is pretty impressive with, live animals.
Hey, John, I'm going to switch gears totally and completely away from that because that's kind of freaking me out to think about Jurassic Park. But
you're afraid of the T-Rex, I know.
Big time.
Or the velociraptors. What's the dangerous ones?
Exactly.
I'm having nightmares tonight. So, but let's talk about drug development as it's relating to China because they have this high volume approach, and what's going on there, and will that surpass where United States is, or has it already?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting what they're doing. If you go back, 25 years, they weren't really doing much there. But I think starting in 2016, they had this 5-year plan. Probably everyone knows that China.
Oh, I remember that. Yep.
Yeah, and they were going to allocate something like 4% of GDP to developing life sciences or biotech. I'm not sure the exact definition of what they were going to focus on, but they spent a lot of time and money building that up. And now, 8-9 years later, they've made a lot of progress. There are hundreds of small biotech companies in China. They revamped their whole regulatory system, so it's a lot more easy to navigate than it was before. And in some ways, they've almost surpassed what we're doing here in the United States and in Europe. And I think where they've made the most headway is in being a fast follower. So you remember the automakers in Japan. Back in the 80s, they kind of took what we did here in the United States. We innovated here in the United States. And then over there, they kind of perfected it. So I think that they're trying to do something similar in China with, so what they do is probably everyone's heard of checkpoint inhibitors like Keytruda. So they'll take one of these PD-1, PD-L1 molecules, and they'll do like 5 or 10 different versions of it, looking for the best one. And then when a big company is looking to have something in that area, there's a lot more to choose from these companies in China. So it's they're making a lot of progress, and with the slowdown in investment here, especially with those NIH cuts that we heard about, it probably requires a deeper look at what we're doing here so that we can keep up.
John, what about the tariffs and how that affects the biosciences, not only in China but obviously here with Johnson & Johnson, Lilly, companies like that?
Yeah, so one of the things that was the goal of the tariffs was to bring companies back here to the United States, right, for manufacturing. That's going to be a very long-term process. And in the meantime, a lot of the inputs for the pharmaceutical products may see much higher costs. Now, I'm not, to be honest, I can't keep up with what's going on in the tariffs.
Nobody can.
One day they're up, one day they're down, one day they're on this, one day they're on that. So I'm not really sure where we are right now. But even if you don't tariff the exact pharmaceuticals, there are a lot of inputs and kind of other products that go alongside them that would have those extra costs. So, in the end, it's gonna mean more expensive drugs for people in the U.S.
John Vandermosten, Senior Life Sciences Analyst, Zacks, Small Cap Research, and Unboxing Biotech. John, appreciate your time as always. And speaking of time, that is it for us here. For Mary Godwin, I'm Costa, the DTC, everybody on the Big Biz Show. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.